So they finally showcased some new gameplay for the Warrior and Sorcerer vocation. And although they showed a very restricted character with a few skills, it was nice to see these two vocations in action and how they're changed in the sequel. It seems like Capcom have teamed up with IGN, who will get exclusive access to the game in January, and they will showcase the variety of interviews, reveals, deep dives and much more as their month-long coverage of Dragon's Dogma 2 continues. Now I would say this is very good, since we'll get a lot of new content during a month that is usually quiet from a marketing standpoint. But somehow, at least in this showcase, they managed to make especially the Warrior look absolutely awful in their gameplay. I mean, it's to the point where I wonder if they deliberately want the game to look bad. The Warrior showcase was so hard to watch that I had to shut down the video and watch it later just to recover from all the emotional damage. But looking past the lack of skill from the player who captured this footage, we now see a Warrior that has gotten a considerable buff since the first game in terms of skills available to the player. Your light attacks are now chargeable, and I hope this adds some hyper armor when activated to make it easier to trade attacks with enemies. It also looks like the vocation specific skill for the Warrior is your good old pommel strike with short range but high stun power. They only showcased the Skyward Sunder skill in this showcase, but with the chargeable light attacks we now have 6 skills available in combat, which is a big improvement from the first game. Another interesting mechanic showcased was how the player would enter a crawling stance after sustaining major damage. I can imagine how this would condition the player to play more cautiously, and it adds to the difficulty, which is nice to see they ramped up in the sequel. Your heavy jump attacks for melee characters now impale your character onto enemies, which I really appreciate, making mounted combat a lot more satisfying to initiate. The combat feels just as grounded as we are used to, and I'm glad they kept this combat style for the Warrior. The Sorcerer showcase was easier to watch, and the first thing I noticed was that we finally are able to outfit our caster with actual armor. This means that we can make a really tanky battle mage this time around, hopefully making us less reliant on pawns to draw aggro, or for those like myself who enjoy playing completely solo. This Sorcerer was equipped with 3 new spells we haven't seen before: Haggle, High Flagration and Salamander. A neat new addition to your Sorcerer's arsenal is the class-specific ability Quick Spell. It seems like this can be activated with every skill, and it will effectively cast your spell faster, with probably some reduced damage and range. I think this is a really good way to balance your Sorcerer combat with further focus on aggressive gameplay. I have to say I'm happy they're moving away from the long cast times from the first game. It seems like skills like Levin also are changed up so that you can alter the spell with follow-up light or heavy attacks, which in turn further improves combat variety. Your heavy attack Galvanize seems to reset your stamina, which is really powerful if that is the case. Lastly, they didn't showcase your dash ability, but just seeing that we now have a dodge for your caster is amazing, and I can't wait to see more showcases and hopefully new vocations in the weeks to come.